Hello, everybody, and thanks for joining us for this special live session. I'm Itzik Amiel, and we are here with a weekly Switch interview series, Switch It On, where we talk to smart and talented people about how you can switch on your practice and even your life. And you're invited, so if you're live, you're invited. I can see you joining in. Again, don't be afraid, we are live, and you want the Rajesh, Diana, and David, and Alan, and Ron, and Mauricio, and Dolika, and Mario, and Dan, and Romy, and then Kim Tan, if I can read it nice. All of you better thank you very much for joining. Because today we're going to talk about, I promise you, a wonderful and interesting subject that all of you want to learn. The subject of today is the art and science of one-on-one meeting. Or in other words, how to maximize the potential of one-on-one meetings. Now, without a doubt, it will be a powerful episode, I promise you, because you speak to the number one expert in the world about it, and you see soon, and also amazing, nice guy. But again, if you have any question during the session, type it in. Also be under the video because I would love to ask your question to our guest today. And of course, if you have any other thing you want, please let us know. And of course, let us know who you are, where you're dialing from, because I want our guests to know that we are not alone in the room, also without a lot of you. Because I have the honor to have this live session with a top expert, as I said, speaker and best-selling author. Today, my special guest and friend is Dr. Stephen Rogelberg. So before I invite Stephen to join us, let me give you some highlights about him because, I love to give it behind people back just because as a speaker, we don't like to be embarrassed about all our resume. But Dr. Stephen Rogelberg is an organizational psychologist, hold the title of counselor, professor at UNC Charlotte for distinguished national, international, and interdisciplinary contribution. He is an award-winning teacher, has over 200 publications, being cited well over 10,000 even more times in academic literature, and was recipient of a very prestigious Humboldt Award for his research on meetings. Adam Grant has called Stephen, and you probably know also Adam, the world's leading expert on how to fix meetings. And I love that one as well. Stephen's previous book, The Surprising Science of Meeting, has been on over 25 best of lists, including being recognized by the Washington Post as the number one leadership book to watch for. His new book, we're going to talk about it today, Glad We Met, The Art and Science of One-on-One Meetings, came out in January and is already receiving tremendous praise, including the Charm Top 12 Workplace Books recognition. Stephen has been interviewed and featured on major TV broadcasts with CBS, This Morning, CNN, BBC, what name it, he was there, radio, podcast, in most major newspapers and magazine, again, Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg, New York Times, National Geographic magazine, just to name a few. Stephen was also a speaker as the world-leading organization, including but not limited to Google, Facebook, Amazon, Pfizer. So you already know what amazing guests we have today. Cisco, Bank of America, PayPal, Dell, United Nations, many more. But he was also an inaugural winner of the Society of Industrial and Organizational Psychology Humanitarian Award and just finished his term as the president of CIOP, the largest professional organization in the world for organizational psychology. And I can say more and more, and I know Stephen don't like that talk behind his back, so I'll bring him in. So welcome, Stephen. And thank you for joining us.
Oh gosh, that was very generous. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Because when you stand on stage with people reading your resume, people exactly know how old you are, right? We hate it so much. So, but thanks for your time, Stephen. I know it's going to be amazing episode because I know a lot of the people, the professional lawyers, accountants, everybody who's joining us today would love it because we feel so much time spending a one-on-one meeting like anybody else.
Yeah.
And I think your value idea, and I think it's just a little bit beginning of what people can get from you. And I'm really happy we're doing it together in this 30 minutes.
Me too.
So, but, I know you had a busy few months again because your new book just came out less than a month ago, actually. So tell me, how the last couple of months really been like, when you're reading another book? I mean, you're busy, man, with a lot of stuff. Total chaos, probably.
Yeah, it's crazy. Writing a book obviously takes time, but it's time you control, right? So for me, my process is every morning, I will always write for around 30 minutes to an hour. And if I do that, I commit myself every day, I can finish a book in a year. Wow. And so, but it's in my control. The last couple months is going into a world that's not in my control. So as, when the book is the run up as well as the release, I'm very happy. I get a lot of media inquiries, and that's wonderful. I am not complaining, but the media, when they reach out, they want immediate satisfaction. And so it's just overwhelming to be meeting the requests. And it's wonderful, right? Because I just want to get my work out there.
Of course.
And so it's a great opportunity. But yeah, it can definitely come at the sacrifice of sleep and other types of things. But very grateful that people have really connected with this new book. And it's exciting because I think it speaks to the fact that there was an empty space. There really hasn't been science shed on this one-on-one meeting. And yet it's the one meeting that should not be an email. It's critical.
And what I think it's fascinating that the first book also was about meetings. So there's so much to say that even the second book
Yeah.
come about it. And I'm sure there will be more coming after that, because the more you dive in
Yeah.
this world of meetings, you see how much value you can create and how
Right.
much unproductive time people spending, and our
Yeah.
time on this universe is actually
Yeah.
limited. So you better think about it twice.
Right.
Now, with your permission, Steve, let me set the stage a bit for our conversation,
Okay.
because I think there is no doubt that one-on-one meetings are arguably one of the most critical meeting types for the success,
Yep.
if I talk about the lawyers, accountant, any professional, of their team and their practice.
Yep.
Because the best professional recognize that one-on-ones are not an add-on to the role, because they're actually fundamental to it. And I think more of an effective one-on-one meeting can really make team day-to-day output better, more efficient,
Yep.
build trust, psychological safety, and actually improve your
Yeah.
employees' experience, motivation, engagement.
Yeah.
Everything you all wanted is in the meeting. And I'm sure you want all of these amazing results in your practice. If you're listening to me now, I'm telling you, this is the most thing you never heard about today. And you're going to find a
Yeah.
solution for all the things you're looking for. So it's more than just a meeting. So what is the right way to conduct those meeting, the effective and powerful one-on-one meeting I'm talking
Sure.
about, to grow your practice?
Yeah.
That's why you have to get to stay with us to listen to this insightful episode with Stephen. It's exactly the reason I
Sure.
invited Stephen to join us.
Oh, thank you.
So to help us most of
Sure.
our one-on-one
Yeah.
meetings, Stephen, I don't know if I
Okay.
told you before, but I like to surprise our guests with 10 questions in 1 minute before we even dive to the material. So I will do it very fast with you. I'm gonna encourage our audience, if you want to answer the question when I'm asking Stephen, go ahead, answer your answers as well at the same time, because there's so much to
Okay.
cover. It's a 10 question in 1 minute, and I'll start with the first one. Let me show it to everybody, including to you, Stephen, and you're ready. I hope I didn't share with you anything in advance, so it's not prepared.
Nope.
Here we go. Let's go for the first one. So the first one, the one-on-one meeting may be the single greatest untapped opportunity for professional firm. Absolutely true in some cases, or do not exaggerate it, Itzik?
Absolutely true. Absolutely true. This is that great opportunity for us to retain our top talent and help people thrive.
Awesome. Number two, successful one-on-one meetings address getting work done effectively, promoting manager success, or influencing a direct reports experience.
All of the above. All of the above.
You
And
didn't fail.
the neat one is that managers don't realize that when they do one-on-ones well, it truly helps them be more successful. Excellent question.
Awesome. Number three, the biggest predictor of one-on-one value is hard to measure it, the length of the meeting, or the amount of time they talk during the meeting.
The amount of time that the manager speaks is negatively related to effectiveness. The more they talk, the lower the quality of the one-on-one, because after all, the one-on-one is supposed to be for the direct, not the manager.
Absolutely. You listen to us now. You heard the message already. I hope all of you there listening to us. Number four, the right effective condense for one-on-one meeting is once a week, once a month, or depending on the circumstances.
The data speak to this, and it's once a week. That is the desired cadence, the desired one, and it's the one most associated with gains and employee engagement.
Absolutely. And that's why you see a lot of people don't do it, because it's once a week to do every team members. It's a lot of work. Number five, having a plan for what will be discussed is a strong predictor of the effectiveness of one-on-one. Not always, you bet, or don't put words in my mouth, Itzik.
It's you bet. And this was a big surprise, but these meetings do need a lightweight agenda. And interestingly, though, when the direct report is heavily involved in the creation of the agenda, then it's most tied to effectiveness.
Great, thank you. Number 6, 101 are also about addressing the personal needs of your team members. Sometimes, every single time, and don't make me mad.
No, it's every time. I mean, when you're having a conversation, right, you're trying to understand their needs, but it's not just about the outcomes of meeting the needs, but your process for doing it, right? Does the person feel like you care about them and they feel like you trust them and respect them? So addressing these personal needs as part of the process really helps solidify the positive outcomes.
Love it, because that's involving empathy and care. Number 7, who is more critical for the success of the one-on-one? The meeting initiator, the participants, or both, or depending on the scenario?
Mm. So I would put the weight on the manager, but the direct absolutely has responsibilities as well. But the manager has the power. So anyone who has the power has some additional responsibilities.
Great. Number 8, the following is critical success factor for one-on-ones: asking for help, being curious, actively engaging, or knowing what you need.
All of the above.
I cannot trick you every single time.
Yeah, the direct needs to do all those things to make sure they get everything good out of this they can.
I'm sure you're going to share more soon in our discussion. Number 9, your new book can help the readers control other people meeting, make your meeting better, or both.
So I'm going to say just make your meetings better. I'd like to believe that we can affect other people's meetings, but it's hard. We relinquish power and control when we go into someone else's meetings. So our options are lesser. But certainly this book directs meetings that you lead or that you're a direct report.
Absolutely. Thank you for the clarification. And last one, number 10. The best results for firms that learn to implement the art of one-on-one meeting is grow revenues, become more productive, or retention of the employees for a longer term.
Love it. All of the above. That's the beauty of one-on-ones done right. It helps the direct, it helps the supervisor, it promotes team success, and ultimately all those things together promote organizational success. One-on-ones are an amazing competitive advantage in the work environment if we do them right.
And I think that was my biggest insight, Stephen, because when I saw that, I said, "Oh my God, how much we're underestimating one-on-one meetings and give you everything people want if you
Yeah.
just do it right." So
Yeah.
also for that, it was very insightful. I know it was fast, but it brings me, of course, to the next part.
It was great.
And she liked it. You didn't trick. I could not trick you. You know your stuff so well. So let's go back. I mean, because your new book called, again, as I said before, Glad We Met, The Art and Science of One-on-One Meetings. And your book is based, among others, on a long time research, of course, you did and prepared that you have conducted on one-on-one meetings. So my first question to you, Stephen, is what did you find in your research about the best meeting in workplace that we all could learn and implement directly?
And are you referring to one-on-ones in particular or any type of a meeting?
Both, any type of meetings.
And
We can
okay,
talk about one-on-one because your book is one-on-one, I
sure.
guess.
So here, can you tell me the question again? I want to make sure I
So what did
respond.
you find in your research? Because you did the research, of course, before the
Mhm.
book. So I want to know, what is the result of this research? What is the best meeting
Okay.
that can conduct in workplaces?
Okay. So let's stick with one-on-ones. So first of all, in the world of one-on-ones, it's getting managers to fully understand that this meeting is not for them.
Mhm.
That's the first key driver of success. A manager needs to realize that this is a meeting orchestrated by them, but not for them. It's a meeting to truly understand what's on the minds of the people that report into them, their concerns, their worries, their anxieties, what have you, and to listen, to engage with it, and to help that person feel truly seen. So that orientation is critical. When you have that orientation, you start to make good choices throughout the process. Those are choices such as making sure that the agenda is the direct's agenda. It's choices like making sure that the direct is doing most of the speaking and that you're doing most of the listening and understanding. It's the recognition that when there's a problem, and you ask the direct for their ideas on how to solve it, when they share something, you don't discount it and say, well, here's how I would do it. Instead, you actually listen and you pick your battles. And if their solution is viable, even if not as good as yours, but still viable, go with their idea because it's theirs. And so then it's the close at the end. If you have that mindset, then you want the end to be like a handshake where there's this agreement that, okay, I've agreed to do this, you've agreed to do that, and you actually do it. So in general, this orientation of elevating and seeing others leads to a variety of choices that you make where you're no longer featuring yourself. You're creating an experience that's about elevating the other person. And let us not forget, we all know the adage that people don't leave bad jobs, they leave bad bosses. And ultimately, this is your opportunity to prove that you're not a bad boss.
I love it. People don't leave bad jobs, they leave bad bosses. I will never forget it. I should know it 20 years ago. I mean, I see people joining us. So yes, we are live. Please join us. And I see also that we already have a question. I will put it forward to you, Stephen. But if you want to answer now, we'll answer afterwards. So Mandalena from New York asking, how can lawyers, how can lawyers make good use of one-on-one meetings to get promotion and prioritize their workload?
That's great.
So I don't know if you want to answer now.
Yeah,
or you can answer.
let's answer it.
Go for it.
So professionals like lawyers, one-on-ones truly, truly matter. They are an amazing opportunity. And the best way to answer that question, if you're a lawyer, think about the cost to you when you lose an excellent paralegal. Think about the cost to you when you lose that high potential associate, right, who's supporting your caseload. Those are devastating to your productivity. Those are devastating to your billable hours. So one-on-ones are this mechanism to take those individuals who are in your sphere, most of whom report into you, and help elevate them, promote their thriving and success, which leads to more retention and leads to less rework. Because when they have these predictable conversations with you where they're broaching what's on their mind, the chances of them getting things done right the first time increases. So for lawyers, attorneys, accountants, what have you, any of these professionals, this allows you to succeed more readily.
Great. And I hope it answered your question, Madeleine. I think it was great question, great answer. And again, if you're joining, you're invited to learn more about the art and science of one-on-one meeting. And I'm here with Stephen Rogelberg talking about it. And I'm going to go for the next question because I don't see any question coming in. So, Stephen, okay, let's become even more practical in our discussion because I'm sure many professionals who listen to us now, who watch us now, asking themselves, why so many workplaces meeting really struggle to bring out the best in people? So my question to you, how will you answer this question?
So if I fully, let me play with it a little bit.
Sure,
but tell me if I'm.
No, you're in the right way, I'm sure.
So what's interesting is we found in the research that around 50% of one-on-ones are rated suboptimally. Clearly, that's not good, right? We have so limited time. If we're making an investment, the thought of it not getting a return is very demotivating. So around 50%. So now the question is why? And there's a host of reasons. First of all, I have only found one organization that provides any training around how to do one-on-ones effectively. Okay, so there's a problem with skills. Next, leaders appear to have a blind spot that when you survey lead managers after a one-on-one, they think it went better than their direct. They have an inflated sense of the value of these things and what they did. So we have a blind spot. This is problematic because when you have a blind spot, you're not all that motivated to make positive changes. So they're not working as well, but we have a blind spot, so the manager doesn't fix them. Now there's one other force. The other force is the fact that organizations have dropped the ball. That if you look at organizational engagement surveys,
Mm-hmm.
organizational talent systems, you see nothing around one-on-ones. There's not even a survey question that asks people whether they're having one-on-ones. There's not a survey question asking whether they're working. So there's no feedback and no accountability. So you
Mm.
have a perfect storm of forces: skills gap, blind spot, and no organizational attention. Those three forces lead to us not realizing the great potential of these one-on-ones.
Great. And I think I know a lot of people now listening to you and thinking, oh my God, what a lost opportunity. And it's that you're shifting the thinking, and I love it because I
And
really want to help out you think differently after
definitely.
listening to you.
And one thing, I get asked sometimes by managers is, well, I just don't have time for this. And the fact is, this makes time. This actually makes time. First of all, what has come up in our work is the fact that when you have these regular one-on-ones, managers actually report having less interruptions because
Wow.
employees kind of save their topics. That saves time. Furthermore, when you have these one-on-ones, people excel better. They thrive better. There's more alignment. All that saves you time. So you are making a small investment of time to gain a tremendous return.
Which is actually by itself contradicting because most people think, oh my God, one on one, I'm so busy, I have no
Yep,
time. And he said, actually, it will save you time, make you more effective, less disruptive, and
that's right.
amazing.
Especially in today's distributed workplaces, right? Everyone is craving to feel seen. And, this is just your opportunity to help your people feel seen.
Exactly. Give them attention instead of try to get
Yeah.
attention.
Yep.
So I want to, as I said, I want to help our viewers think differently. And you see, since many professional firms, we know that do not invest enough time to improving their one-on-one meeting. As you said, also, they don't have the skills, they never take the training. And I think you are the right person to help us here. So here's my next question. I'm thinking out loudly how people think. And I said, how can, if I was their leader of a firm, etc., how can we design meetings in ways that really allow us and others, of course, to be more effective givers at work?
So there's a lot of different pieces to that. Let me share one innovation in meetings in general that I think speaks to that. But I'll say that, whether if you're a CEO, a managing partner, whatever it happens to be, kind of you need to own meetings, right? Meetings are one of the most expensive things your people do, right? So we wouldn't imagine an organization without a chief IT officer, right? Because we have a massive investment in IT. I mean, assuming you're not a tiny firm.
Mhm.
But in the world of meetings cost an organization a heck of a lot more than IT. And yet there's just no one who kind of puts up their hand and says, I own this. I'll make sure that we're getting a good return. And
Chief
they
meeting
need to.
officer.
That's really important. So organizations need to start taking meetings more seriously than they are. They need to have someone on the senior leadership team who truly owns this as a critical work process. But let me share an innovation that can make meetings pop.
Love it.
And this is an innovation around agendas. So most agendas to meetings are framed as a set of topics to be discussed. What I want to challenge your listeners is to create an agenda as a set of questions to be answered. Questions to be answered. By doing this, now you have to really think about the meeting and what
Mhm.
you're hoping to achieve. By framing your agenda as questions, you have a better sense of who needs to attend the meeting. They're relevant to the questions. By framing the agenda items as questions, you know if the meeting has been successful. The questions have been answered. By framing your agenda items as questions, you create an engaging challenge that draws people in. And if you just can't think of any questions, it likely means you
There's no
don't
need
need a
for it.
meeting.
Exactly.
So that's a small little intervention that can have great benefits for
Love it.
organizations.
And of course, if one of the questions didn't answer, you just put it next time because it has to be again developed in the next meeting. Exactly. Love it. I mean, beautifully said. And I guess question with timing next to it, you also give timing to answer this question. Will keep you in the timing of the meeting as well, right?
You
So.
absolutely could. It depends on, if you look at your attendees and generally conclude that people tend to run on and on and on, and you want to get that under control, putting times can help get that under control.
Mm-hmm. And especially when you see the agenda, people don't want to come to point number 4. They'll spend 45 minutes point number 3. So you're
That's
not
right.
going to come to point number 4. Got
That's
it.
right.
So that was very practical. But again, remember the innovation, those thinking. Again, those you coming, we are live. Thank you, David C, David B, Alex, Ron, David Go, and Ramanton. We have actually people now for 32 countries. And you're not saying, not asking questions. It's so obvious, by the way. Or is Steven so clear? Or you're embarrassed? What's going on over there? So again, I'm here with Steven Rogelberg speaking about the art of signing one-on-one meetings. And I want your question because I will continue asking you my questions and you're going to lose. So ask it. If you want to ask any question for Steven, do it in the chat box. And if you're interested, again, to learning more about what Steven doing, his work, again, his new book, you can always check his website. And if you allow me, Steven, I will share it. It's stevenrogelberg.com. That's correct? So
Yeah.
that's his website. You could find it. You could read. You could definitely buy the book, buy the next book, download, read. There's so much more to read over there. And even the first book, both of them are very valuable sources. And I'm sure if you approach Steven, there's a way that also you can get him into your firm, into your retreat as well. And also in this page, you can find also more information about his new book. And if you want to make sure, by the way, if you don't want to miss any of our weekly Switch on interview series, again, follow me on LinkedIn, go to the Switch Hub website. You can sign up, get my business development strategies and tips. And you'll also be added to the email list where you can get regular reminder about our fantastic guests, as we did today with Steven. So let's continue about this practical topic about the art of the science of a one-on-one meeting. And I will dive a bit more in again, Steven. If it's not comfortable to answer, don't answer me. But from your humble experience, and I know you're doing it, and I'm doing it as well. We're mentoring and training many professionals and professional firm worldwide. I also notice many of them often do not prepare enough for the meeting. A fact that really cause a lot of stress and not so much use of the valuable time every single time. That people, if you send it in advance, people know
Yep.
what to expect to prepare and not just so take it out of the sleeve during the meeting. And I know you have some practical advice here on this subject. So the question here is, why planning your meeting to create a little stress can be really beneficial for all the participants, and how we should do it right?
Sure. So preparation matters. When we've surveyed individuals about the characteristics of the best meeting leaders, one characteristic emerges most readily, and that is the best meeting leaders recognize that they're a steward of others' time, a steward of others' time. Now, when you're a steward, the thought of people leaving your meeting saying that was a waste of time is so uncomfortable to you that you think about the meeting in advance, right? You give it some thought, you plan, you want to make sure that you're honoring people's time. Interestingly, we do this all the time when we're meeting with key bosses or key stakeholders because we don't want them to leave saying that was a waste. But when we meet with our team or our peers, we often don't do that. And one of the greatest ways of communicating that we care is preparing, right? Having that compelling agenda. Like, as I mentioned, the questions as the frame, right? You do something like that, it's conveying that you care, that you're prepared, that you want this to be a good use of people's time. So there's so many opportunities for intentionality. It's the agenda, it's how you invite people. Right. So we have a tendency to over-invite people, which is highly problematic because it actually hurts productivity.
Absolutely.
So we want to be more intentional and thoughtful of who are the must-haves and who are the nice-to-haves. And the nice-to-haves, we can just keep them in the loop. And so the more that this preparation in the world of one-on-ones, we also want to make sure that we read the notes that we've collected in the past, right? Because one-on-ones are telling a story of that employee's journey. So the more that we kind of connect with that story, we can be even more positively impactful when we have these conversations. And by the way, throwing in your notes into ChatGPT could actually be a really fun way of identifying trends and changes over time. It does a great job with data such as that. So Preparation is really a sign of caring and respect for others. And it's, by the way, it's kind of what you do, right? So when we think about the show, you clearly prepared, right? You're honoring everyone's time, right? You're being an excellent steward. And these are the things that we look for in our meeting leaders as well.
Absolutely. And I say from the side of the attendee, of the not the director or the initiator, it also shows people care about you. If your boss don't care about you, you'll sit all
Yep.
over. They didn't prepare. It goes in the
Yep.
body language, everything they're doing, and then you know exactly where you are
Right.
in the position of the company. And
Right.
maybe you can help them prepare themselves,
That's
maybe
right.
correct themselves, get some training for it. So
You're absolutely
and
right.
that's the other side of the question.
And I do, you made such a beautiful, I so appreciate your plug of my website and materials. I really appreciate that. And I do hope people will check out the books. I do want to say it's just so important for me to get this work out. All my royalties are all being donated to cancer research. So it's not about me. It's about getting the work out there. And so I hope people will check out the books if they want to learn about truly making meetings work for them, or if they want to help eradicate cancer. Either one of those is fabulous.
Thank you very, very much for sharing that, Stephen. Indeed, I forgot to mention, but that's indeed. I mean, I want you to buy the book, but it's two birds in the same time. You
Right.
also will donate it. I promise it's not the last time you're going to hear from Stephen. It's just the beginning. I promise you. We
Thank
just
you.
enter to the word. So maybe the last question for you, Stephen, if people don't ask their question, I ask. But if you allow me, again, if there's anything you forgot, there's some more practical tips you can give to team members to improve the meeting. Maybe 3 points or more that you think they should really, if they listen to it, this is the thing you want them to get out of it.
Okay. So first of all, it's the cadence. So these things should be weekly, and that is the most desired cadence. I think that's really important. This is actually what people want. Second, don't fall into a status update trap. You can get status updates on what your people are doing in many different ways, right? You can send emails, you can do asynchronous, you can do it in team meetings. You can get status reports lots of ways. This is not your time to do it. This is the time to elevate your people. So don't think of these one-on-ones as status updates. 3 is cancellations. These meetings really shouldn't be canceled. If you have a conflict, move the meeting up as opposed to back, even if it has to be half as much time. If you cancel your one-on-ones regularly with your people, think about the signal that sends, right? That's a signal that if anything else more important comes up, your people don't matter to you. So be careful of all the signals that we send people that we might not be aware of. If you don't do one-on-ones with your people, think about the signal that sends, right? It's a signal of this is all just transactional, that you don't really care, right? If you talk and dominate the meeting, think about the signal that sends. If you fall into a status update, think about the signal that sends. If you cancel. So be aware of the signals. There's lots of practical tips. The book is both the art and the science of one-on-ones. And I want to stress that because I share a variety of options for you to consider. I don't have a magic formula because the science doesn't support that, but there's options. So choose evidence-based options that fit you and your values, and then give it a go. And then periodically check in with your people to make sure the one-on-ones are truly working for them. That's another ultimate act of stewardship.
Great. And by the way, when Stephen mentioned one-on-one, it means you physically go and meet a one-on-one online, but you be with a person and not just send them an email or call them from the other room, which a lot of professionals tend to do. That's not one-on-one. So, I mean, I want to summarize it, Stephen, and I took it from your book, actually, but you said that there are estimated 200 to 500 million one-on-one meetings held each day around the world. This is unbelievable amounts of meetings. And I have no idea how many of them are within the professional services firm. I think also a lot, but I'm sure it is actually a big number. But are these meetings around that transformatively? Are they could be, or are they just a talk? I know for many of you, regular individual one-on-one meeting with each of your team members may feel like a burden. But many of you may agree that meetings are critical for the workplace communication and decision making, but believe that they often waste of time and productivity. But what if you learn to make these meetings more effective with more positive intent, as we heard from Stephen today? They're not too high price to pay to bolster your team and your firm performance, support retention, and prevent you from spending just as much time or even more recruiting and onboarding replacement and help each of your
Yep.
team members grow and achieve. And as you learn, definitely in this powerful session with Steven, I suggest you warmly watch the replay again. Get all these diamonds, all the amazing thing, and get the books. Sponsor the concert, but also in the same time read, implement, learn. So I want to summarize this great session with you, Steven. Let me share a quote by that definitely can inspire many of you. It's actually a quote by you yourself. I hope that I found the right quote for you. It said, in the workplace around the world, meetings are where productive and creativity go to die. So if that's what you guys feeling, you better go correct the one-on-one meetings and all the meetings. So now, as your friend, it's your time to take action. I don't know. I see it comments and maybe somebody asking questions. So let me check just before we say goodbye to you. I see Alfonso from Bogota, Colombia. Love the subject. Thank you very much, Alfonso. Thank you for letting us
Thank you.
know. And he's correct. He's Colombia indeed. Correct. Awesome. Great. Thank you. I could see that you're all joining, but you didn't ask your questions. I will ask, go there, take action, implement what you've learned in this session.
Yep.
Because we have been here with Stephen Rogelberg. He is, as I said, your top meeting expert, counselor professor at the University of North Carolina, speaker, best-selling author. And the last thing I should say, Stephen, is thank you to you.
Thank you.
Because at the time passed so fast, but it was fantastic. Your energies, your amazing knowledge. Thank you very, very much for that.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Very grateful for the opportunity.
And Stephen, myself, want to thank each one of you who chose to be with us. Thank you very much. Remember, next episode, next Tuesday, 6 p.m. Central European Time, 12 p.m. Eastern Time, 9 a.m. Pacific Time. But now it's your time to switch on and master the art of one-on-one meetings to maximize the potential of this crucial conversation to grow a practice and definitely in your career. So for now, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Stephen.
Thank
Bye
you.
for now.